Hello, everyone. Welcome. This is Nyla, and today I will be bringing to you a very special voice reading. Today we are going to be reading Sapling to Seedling by Dreams of Ponies. And the reason that this is special is because this is a very special pony in my life. He means a lot to me, so I would appreciate it if you would read this story or just listen along. And I hope that you enjoy the reading and have a lovely day. Sapling to Seedling by Dreams of Ponies. Loss is as much a part of life as breathing itself. Now the apples lay down another member of their family onto the orchard. Chapter 1. Beneath the apple pear tree. Drifting autumn leaves twisted in the whistling wind, with gathered ponies standing beside the intertwined branches of an apple and pear tree. Rays of sunset weaved between the amber clouds as a single orange-colored mare stepped purposely before a large, open grave. Applejack pulled a black Stetson down slightly over her eyes, the crowd of colorful ponies seeming to glow before her in the light of the ending day. Closing her eyes for a moment, she drew in a long, shuddering breath. Then, with a painful smile, the beginning of tears showing at the corners of her eyes, she spoke. "Thank you, every pony, for coming today." She looked out into the faces of her siblings, Big Mac wrapping his hoof around their younger sister, Apple Bloom. Small tears fell from the filly's face as her brother whispered into her ear. Then, after a sniffle, she looked up, her cheeks wet. Giving a thankful nod, Applejack continued, We all knew this was comin'. Granny, well, she'd been here for so long that even she couldn't remember how long. There was a choked laugh before she continued. Sometimes she'd say she was here before Ponyville was. Applejack cracked a small smile. And chew your ear off if you claimed she was actually that old. There was a ripple of laughter through the crowd. Applejack's closest friends stood just behind her family, all adorned in black, save for one perfectly pink pony. Pinkie Pie didn't do black. This is probably closer to a going-away celebration in her eyes. Every pony has their own way of dealing with these things. I could stand up and talk about all the good things we had, or something like that. But instead, I wrote a little something for Granny. Applejack looked down at her siblings. I know you all got something you want to say. So come on up, then we'll read it together. The Apple siblings made their way up onto a small platform that stood before an open casket. The peaceful form of Granny Smith rested inside, so at ease that she might as well have been napping. When Apple Bloom stepped up beside her brother and sister, her eyes fell upon her grandmother. She had to choke back a sob. Her brother's red hooves reached down, picking her up and placing her on his back. Big Mac gave her an encouraging nuzzle and positioned her in front of the crowd. Hi, she sniffed, wiping away tears with a hoof. I didn't know anything about hay fever before all this, but... Apple Bloom lowered her eyes. Granny fought so hard for so long that it hurt to watch. I went to see her at the hospital every day after school. Sometimes I skipped school and stayed all day. She smiled, a little guilty smile towards her teacher, who gave a loving shake of her head from the crowd. All the doctors loved Granny, even when she'd throw things at 'em. Apple Bloom sniffled a laugh. She never wanted to be cooped up like that. Even the chickens on the farm get to go outside during the day. Apple Bloom looked down at their resting relative and finally lost control as tears began to fall without relent. I'll never stop missing you, Granny, but I'm glad you're not hurting anymore. Big Mac reached up, bringing his sister's muzzle alongside his before he turned to speak. There's never been any pony like Granny Smith, and there never will be again. Big Mac smiled softly down at his elder. She was one of a kind, a shining gold apple in both my life and my little sister's. She'd say that an aged cider is just that much wiser, and boy did she school me good when she got the chance. And as strong as I am, and as much as Granny tried to teach us, she'd still make me feel like a fool, even as she'd lay on her last bed. Big Mac closed his eyes before he spoke again. Big Mac, don't you be worrying none about me. You've got the farm and the family, and now it's high time I give back the orchard. Big Mac let a single tear fall as he looked over the gathering ponies. Buck up, young'uns. You've got a life to live. Ain't nothing to do with an old apple but plant it in the ground. His hooves wavered as Applejack stepped next to him, placing her hoof upon his withers. Applejack sighed deeply before she pulled a small paper from her hat, unfurling it as the three apples were joined by an old pair. He said nothing, but stood next to them in loving solidarity. Apple seed to apple tree, we'll plant you with our parents for all to see. You raised us, taught us, gave us all we know. You loved us, scolded us, sat back and watched us grow, joking, laughing, for all to see. You let us make mistakes, scrape our knees, let us be free. We'll always miss you, always love you, our Granny Smith, wherever you may be. Slowly the casket where Granny rested was closed, then lowered down the last of Celestia's sun, flowing down like a golden river through the trees. The apple family came forward, one at a time, and tossed a bit of dirt into the hole, as was tradition. As the line of ponies paying their respects dwindled and the crowd dispersed, the 3+1 grand pair sat before the mound. The heart-shaped tree of their parents cast a perfect shadow over Granny, and the apple family embraced together as the sun finally set. I'm going to miss her so much, Apple Bloom cried into her sister's coat, her older sister's tears trickling down to stain her ribbon-adorned mane. I know, Sugar Cube. It ain't going to be the same without her, but we got to look forward from now on. She tilted Apple Bloom's head up. It's what she'd want, Bloom. Big Mac picked up Apple Bloom up in his hooves and put her on his back. Yep. And that is the end. Lastly, I am going to read the author's note. I don't normally do this, but I feel it's fitting with this story. Author's note. Hey there, ponies. I'm going through a rough patch right now and decided to publish this after a fashion. See, I had initially written this story as a personal challenge for myself. I had to cover a serious subject matter in about 1,000 words. Turned out alright, but I wasn't really sure if I'd publish it or not. Well, I had a close family member fall terribly ill a few days ago, so I had my friends give it with his editing comb and I published. Mostly because this story now carries a lot more weight to me. Anyways, thanks for reading. Life is short. Don't forget to love and cherish those around while you can. And that is the author's note, and granted, this was published a long time ago. Back in 2018, actually, so it's an older story, but still. To me, it is something very special. I wanted to read it, and I thank you for joining me here. And once again, I hope you all have a wonderful day, and remember, keep on smiling.